What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been about a week or so since you've heard from any of us, but to be honest with you, we just got back from Connecticut. I think it's been like 6 or 7 days ago. And to be honest, we just come back and we unplugged from the world. We were absolutely exhausted from that trip. But guess what? That time is over. We have to get back to work. And we are going to start on our boy Homer back here. As you've seen in some of the shorts I put out and the video I put out from that event, Homer just absolutely got overheated, and you can see some of the evidence here on his radiator, and that's 100% my fault. I got lazy on that deal, and I will explain that to you here in just a few minutes. But anyway, we got him off the trailer and I started up to back him in the shop, and he is making some pretty nasty noises. Some of the issues, I'm sure I know what they are, but the rest of them we're gonna have to investigate and see what the deal is. We've got to change on the oil, change on the plugs. I think I burned up a couple of the wires. We've got to see what this clunking sound is. If you watched the video, if you remember, when I pulled off the pad, I think Homer only had like 20 pounds of oil pressure, and he was plumb maxed out on the temp gauge. I mean, as hot as I think I've ever got a car. But anyway, when I sent him out there, once we got through the tip in, it was all the way to the floor. So anyway, he had a pretty cool burnout. I think it was his best run he's ever had, but we have to continue to grow and continue to get better, especially if we want one of those bald eagles here at the BRG camp. So anyway, let's get after it. Let's see what we got going on, see what we damaged. And we have to start getting Homer dialed in for Tom Bailey's PowerFest up in Pontiac, Michigan in I think 10 days. So we've got a lot of work to do. So anyway, this is Busted Radio Garage. Let's get after it. All right, guys. So to be honest with you, we're going to kind of look at this together. I did not take Homer off the trailer until literally a few minutes before I jumped in and started filming. I haven't looked at a thing essentially as far as the engine goes. So let's kind of look over what's in our face and obvious, and then we'll start digging in. What I can see here for sure is where he was spewing over, I mean, something awful. There's a radiator cap. I know he was blowing out, both of his cans, the overflow for the radiator, and he was also blowing out the catch can pretty good. So we'll definitely look into that. We'll pop that catch can open and see what's in there. Here's something else I noticed is pretty obvious, is my bracket for the tensioner is pushed way back too far. This should be about a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch away from my pulley, and that is way, way back. To the point, yep, it's rubbing on the nipple for my water pump, and that belt, boy, it is loose. So we definitely got to address that. Our little trick for the water pump electric worked though. I mean, it stayed out of the belt and didn't get tied up too bad there. Let's see what this oil looks like. I mean, it looks pretty clean, but I wonder if it's got any viscosity left. I bet that thing got smoking hot. Get back here. I mean, to be honest with you, it feels really good. We're going to drain it anyway, and we're going to check and see if there's anything in that pan. Hopefully we don't find any stripper glitter down in there. Let's see what else we got. Wires don't look too bad over here. I think I got into one on the other side though, so we're gonna have to get into that. What I did notice is I had some oil running down on the ground. So I think this little plastic tubing for my gauges either got hot or it cracked. So we're gonna eliminate that altogether while we've got him here apart, and we're gonna put in a solid copper line back to my gauges and get rid of that cheap refrigerator tubing. Didn't have any fuel issues. Man, that oil filter got smoking hot. It looks like I've got a small gap between the back of my block and my transmission back here, so I'm gonna have to check, make sure my bolts didn't come loose. We didn't have any vibration, so I'm not really too concerned with that. Let's see what we got over here. Oh boy, I plumb melted the loom for the spark plug wires. That's fine. I got a gazillion of those here. And I'm going to explain this to you. You notice we got a new gasket here. I didn't put this on video or explain that to anybody before we left. But Homer was running something terrible the day we actually left for Connecticut. So I went up to Calvert Racing Engines. As you guys know, they're like massive supporters for our channel. I mean, they're there for us every time we have an issue with Homer's engine. But come to find out, that gasket between the blower and the intake had blew out the back. I don't know if it happened when we were at the Freedom Factory. Where did we go last? Oh, that was at Indy. I don't know if that happened at Indy or not, but regardless, we had to make an intake gasket on the fly. So we stopped up there, hurry up and pulled the engine apart, made a new intake gasket, put it back together, dialed in the tune, and Homer ran like a champ. Idled perfect. As you could hear in the video, I mean, when we was coming back, he was just idling beautifully. So anyway, so I'm fairly certain that gasket's okay. We'll double check. Before we leave anywhere, we always do a nut and bolt check. We try to from, you know, bottom to top and make sure we have nothing weird going on, because, you know, some of this stuff will start coming loose when you're mashing down on the, like the old accelerator pedal. But anyway, let's go. Oh, another thing I gotta fix. As you can see, this top notch mechanical job I done on this brake line, that finally started leaking. So we're gonna pull this apart and actually plug this like 100% for real. We don't have to worry about that jazz anymore. What else do we got to do? Anyway, we got a bunch we got to check over, mainly this clunking noise. Kathy said when I started it on the trailer to bring him back, my bottom pulley was, you know, jiggle wiggling. So I need to check that crank bolt, make sure we actually didn't break the crank. I would seriously doubt it. That is a Mahl forged crank, and the engine was rolling over, so I don't think the crank's broke, but I have lost that crank bolt before, so we need to make sure that's good. And then we've just got to clean up this mess. I mean, it's bad. And then, I mean, I haven't even cleaned out the car. So as you can see, we still have our Burnout rims back there. I mean, my badge is still there from Connecticut, the jack. I mean, all this stuff that we took with us is still back here. You know, pop bottles and yeah. So anyway, the girls are on the way down. They're gonna help out. We're gonna dig into this. To be honest with you, it's probably like 6:30 at night right now. So we're gonna be down here for a while. And of course, we're gonna take you guys along for the ride. So let's get to taking stuff apart. All right, let's get to work. All right, so I got my toolbox drug over here. You know, I'd rather just, you know, go from here to here than from there to way over there to get my toolbox. So first things first, I'm gonna get this belt off, get all this jazz out of the way, and we're gonna go down there and we're gonna check that pulley and check that crank bolt. I have a feeling something happened down there, and if it happened there, you know, this is all for nothing. You know, we're gonna have to take it apart and see what happened. But I'd rather check that first if we're okay there, and we're gonna work our way up. So let's get this apart real quick. Get to see what's happening here. Boy, it would suck out loud if it was hasta la vista, baby, and we had to pull this engine. But I don't think so. I'd be willing to bet $1 to a donut that, well, that's gone forever. I'd be willing to bet that that crank bolt came loose. Belt hung in there great. We didn't have much slippage in there. But this concerns me that, see, generally we keep this belt tensioner about right there, about a 1/16 of an inch or so away from the pulley. I mean, you guys seen it, it was way back here. So something wasn't holding. What I think I'm gonna do if we continue to use this setup is I'm just gonna pin it. I'm gonna drill a hole through with a key and just pin this down along with this bolt. May even use 2 pins just to keep it in place. Because to be honest with you, any of you that run with blowers know that, you know, that's no bueno. It doesn't hold on with a crap. So all of you know that I'm a table nerd. So we got us a table over here to keep everything. Let's get down there and see what's going on. All right, it's put up or shut up time here. Get my mitts down here. Oh yeah, it's backed out probably 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. So I guess I probably need to back that all the way out and put some Loctite on it, jam it back in there. The only booger about that is if it jacked up any of those threads, and you guys know them crank bolts, I mean, their threads are super fine. I'm probably gonna pull that out, throw some Loctite on it, and then throw it back in there. And then if that seems to be okay, we're gonna go ahead and get this all somewhat back together and try to fire it back up. Make sure we lose all of our clunking clunking noises, which I think that's a big part of the problem. And then if we lose all that, then we'll change the oil and go from there. If we still have clunking noises, we're probably gonna have to get into back here and check torque converter bolts. I might even go ahead and check that to begin with, but anyway, let's keep going. All right, guys, a lot of people have a lot of bad things to say about Pittsburgh tools, but I'm gonna tell you something. This is one of my favorite kits. It's used for an impact, but I use these for like crank bolts and stuff like that. I mean, they're super handy. Just throw it on your ratchet and get after it. So we're gonna see about this crank bolt and go from there. All right, let's see what we got. Oh yeah, look at that. I mean, it is hand loose. Oh, there we go. At least it's bottoming out. Good night. We'll have to torque this down, obviously. So, all right, well, we're spinning the engine over anyway. So we'll get in here with the bar and get that torque down in a little bit. But mainly what I want to do right now is just see if we got rid of any clunking sound. I'm going to get this all back together, and then we're going to get back here and that inspection plate and check them torque converter bolts. We've already got this out so we can roll the engine over anyhow. And then we'll see what in the world we got going on. Well, the only thing I think next is we'll go ahead and get this back together and check that. All right, we're just going to tighten this up for now just to check and see if that clunking noise is gone. I'm going to check those torque converter bolts real quick, and then we're going to fire it up and see what we got. If it continues, and then yeah, we're in trouble because we're gonna have to start taking the engine apart, and I do not want to do that. But again, we've got like 10 days, so it is what it is. All right, guys, we're gonna fire this up. I'm gonna listen for like clanging and bogging and stuff that isn't supposed to be there. Kathy's filming. She's gonna keep an eye on that pulley, make sure we don't have any dancing, make sure we didn't break that crank somewhere. So let's fire it up and see what happens. It's going to be super loud. Earphone warning. Yeah, we got to go. Something's not right in there, you all. All right, I'm going to get this thing up in the air and checking torque converter bolts. I'm hoping that's not something engine. It could be my valves rattling, but I'm not 100% sold on that. All right, guys, here's the torque converter in my bolts. I'm not seeing any damage where the bolts are hitting the block, but we're gonna tighten these up and check them anyhow real quick, because like I said, we've got something. If it's not this, we're gonna have to pull valve covers and start checking the valve train, because something's not right. All right, guys, I know the lighting is terrible, but we'll address that in a minute. But watch this. Here, I'll just show you. This bolt is boogered up now because it's been hitting the block to the point I can't get the wrench on it. But look, here, watch. It's moving by hand. So this is definitely our issue, I believe. These torque converter bolts are smacking that block up there somewhere. So I believe this is our noise where it's just rotating around and tick, 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 smacking that block. So we definitely have to get these tightened up and pray we didn't do any damage to this torque converter, because I'm going to tell you something. That was an expensive piece. So let me get these tight and we'll go from there. It's crazy. Look at this. I'm turning my torque converter bolts by hand. That has got to be the issue we're having. Not only for vibration, which we didn't have much. That is definitely our... That is definitely what's hitting. So what we'll do is we'll get these dialed in to see if this corrects the issue. If it is, we'll get the homer up on the lift and pull these back out. I've got blue Loctite in them now, but I may have to just go up to red and be done with it. Wow. Look at this bolt, guys. I'll have to get it out and show it to you. But look how it mushroom headed that bolt. Fortunately, I don't see anything yet, but fortunately, we didn't tear up the block. These are grade 8 bolts. So that one is definitely no bueno. We're going to have to go get new bolts. So that one's out of the picture. So let's check the rest of them. All right, guys, I got us some light now so we can see what's going on. But like I said, there's that bolt. It's plumb mushroom headed. So that was definitely our noise. All right, Kathy's going to roll the engine over. We're going to check the rest.
I got it stuck.
It's all right, keep coming. Yeah, I might be able to help you. Hold on.
No, I got it now.
This one's loose too. All right, good. Right there. Yeah, this one here is also way loose. So we're gonna tighten that back up. We're gonna put some red Loctite in here, but I gotta go get some. So right now we're just gonna tighten everything up just to see.
You're turning it.
Yeah, that's fine. Just to see if we got any more problems. Yeah, this one is also loose. Hopefully we didn't cause any damage. We dodged a major bullet with that, guys. That's crazy that all those came loose like that, especially all in one shot. So I'll get some new bolts, some red Loctite. We're gonna change those out. But just for investigative purposes, we're gonna go ahead and check that out real quick. Take two, guys, let's see what happens. Boy, the dogs do not like. What was that? Is that a mean old car that did on that and stuff? What do you think, Benny? What do you think, huh? All right, guys, I think that's going to be okay. We might have to, I mean, it's not we might. We're going to have to get into that a little bit and just check everything, check that key. But for the purposes for right now, we're fine. Because we're going to be changing torque converter bolts. I got to get those. We're going to have to dig into this a little bit more. But I think that, well, not that I think, I know that big clanging noise, which I thought could have been something in the engine of the crank, was ultimately the torque converter bolts, which is fine. Homer's idling just fine. So now we're going to get in. Here, I'll show you this. Kathy just pointed this out. We're kind of doing this raw. But you can see the oil right underneath here. That's coming from this gauge, that refrigerator tubing, and it's just shooting oil out. You can actually see it coming out on the block now. So we've got new copper line for that over there. We're going to replace all that and hard line it. So anyway, like I was saying, we'll get into oil, water, transmission fluid, all the liquids, and get that dialed in. We've got the engine actually dialed in really good. I'm happy with the idle. I'm happy with the full throttle response. But, you know, you got to keep in mind, those of you new to the channel, we built this car from a junkyard fine, rotted out shell to what we got. So we're still fighting gremlins, and I'm happy with that. But we have to continue to push forward, especially if we want to win and get some of these bald eagles and these other top prizes. And that's what we are doing. We are fighting the fight. So let's keep going.
Did you make a mess?
Yeah, I need to. Let's see what we can do about plugging up this hole. I was actually kind of douching the crowd with this when we were there. We don't use this one anyway. So I got these bench bleed plugs that if they'll hold, I'll just put those in there. We'll call that a day. I can imagine the hate in the comments I'm going to get for this right here. But you know what? As Derek would say, if it works, is it a dumb idea? Sorry, Derek, I just had to steal that from you, bud. Now, this is plastic, so it's not going to be near as forgiving, so we'll be careful putting the old elbow grease into that one. But we'll test it and see if it works. If it does, it does. If it don't, it don't. I really don't care. Now what? We got to change oil. We got to put water in it. We got to do all that jazz, and then we get squirt down here to get the cleaning on this thing and earn some of that allowance money. All right, Homer, let's get you something to drink. Let you run for real before we go too crazy. Get that oil pressure tested. And he was as dry as a popcorn fart. I have a feeling we're going to get some on the floor. Well, we put that lid to the test, didn't we? Look at this. Squirt's going to have fun cleaning that up. Oil we're full, so I think we'll be okay to run it. Good thing is there's no water and it doesn't look like there's any metal. We can still got plenty of viscosity left. I mean, 2 runs on this oil is, I mean, it's not that bad. My only concern is because it got so hot. Yeah, we're right at the bottom of the full mark, but we've also run the engine a little bit. It's good enough to test on, so I think we'll run him, get him up to temperature, and then mainly just check the oil pressure is what I'm really worried about, and then we'll go from there. And then we'll get to digging in and we'll do a full nut and bolt check from bottom to top. Obviously all brand new torque converter bolts. We've got to get an alternator system built for this too at some point, guys. Just figuring out where to thread the needle on the belt. We've got one bolt hole in this head we can use, but we're going to have to make a bracket for the bottom, and we'll be able to feed the the alternator and the belt on this side, but it's going to be tighter than 2 coats of paint with everything that's already here. Might have to run that alternator way out here somewhere, which would look cool even, you know, even better. We'll get a big fat chrome 1-wire alternator. Actually already has one, but I'm not going to steal it from there because he's not a parts car. But anyway, let's fire this up. We'll check its oil pressure and we'll go from there. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and fire up Homer now, and I'm going to bring you along for this on the gauges and kind of see where we fall. Get out of the way. And see what happens here. Let me flip you around. All right. This thing, I got to take it in the house anyway, so I'll just put it on here. All right, get out. Bob, I just rung your bell, buddy. All right, let's see what we got going on. We're going to upset the dogs here. Turn all this jazz on. I don't know how much. Oh, she got the switch off. 1 second. Safety first. All right, let's see what we got. There we go. Now we got juice. All right, let's find out. All right, guys, not gonna complain. That sounded really, really good. Man, his idle is just dialed in. Could probably turn it down just a skosh, but we don't have a whole lot of blower surge or none of that jazz. But man, awesome, awesome, awesome. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go buy a bunch of new parts like bolts. I've already got the hard line for the oil, so we'll get that done. And then we're gonna do a nut and bolt check. So we're gonna run up, I'll take you guys along for the ride, and we'll get some bolts and some other jazz, and we're gonna get to work.
Are you thirsty?
I'm Batman.
That's you next sweet tea.
All right, guys, we'll take you while we're waiting for Homer to cool back off. We'll take you to the other side and show you how far we got these tires down in Connecticut. Again, I feel it's Homer's best run to date, simply because we finished and we drove off the pad. For me, that's probably the most important right now.
And blew both tires.
And we blew both tires, which was awesome. I'll put this on because I got to take it to the house. But anywho, so this is what's left. So we're probably just gonna have to cut this off because, you know, I'm not getting a tire machine on it. And yeah, we done a nice little wheel dancing out there. We wheel bashed, if that makes sense. We still got to get the other Burnout tires off, which are over there. Kathy can show you those. Those are from Advance when we went up there done that charity show, and we completely destroyed those things. So yeah, here's the other one, and a sample piece of plastic. But yeah, Homer done a really good job, and I think we got those off in like, I didn't remember seeing the clock. It was like 58 seconds or 62 seconds or something, which was pretty good for a brand new set of tires. Expensive, but still pretty good. And then of course, you know, we lived in this thing for that day, so there are pop bottles. Oh, score. There's that wrench I was missing. Good thing that didn't fall through the floor. There's that thing of rags I was looking for the other day.
We told you they were in the car.
Man, there's a lot of water back here. All right, well, you ready to go get some parts? And then we can get to work. So we got to get some torque converter bolts. We've got to get some oil, some brake fluid, water, which is free out of the water hose. And we got to get to ordering some tires because we are flat out of Burnout tires. Unless we use Hot Mess's Burnout tire, but she got 4 brand new tires. We could use those. Speaking of Hot Mess, look at her sitting over here all majestic, all cleaned up, waiting for her new panels. And then of course we cleaned up this mess yesterday. So there's all of Hot Mess's parts, all kind of organized nice and neat until we figure out what we're keeping and what we're not. We still got to get Buster running, our little pit quad runner. It's just because I'm lazy and I haven't got it done yet. And then Miss Mabel and Artie are sitting over here just chilling out. So anyway, let's go get some parts. All right, cool guys. It's the next morning. So we went to the parts store last night, got us a little bit of dinner, done a little bit of chilling out. Didn't record a whole lot, if nothing at all last night. But here, let me show you what we got. So I had to order my torque converter bolts. They didn't have any in stock, but I did get my oil filter. And then I had this here. This is the hard line for our oil pressure line. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that done first and get this oil leak under control, because you can kind of see where it ran down the block there last night and onto the ground. And then we are gonna get Squirt out here to get this all kind of cleaned up. That'll be her job for the next couple days. And then I think we're gonna be good to go for Tom Bailey's PowerFest up there in Michigan. So let's get to changing this line. All right, let's get this refrigerant line out of here. Just a little 3/8 wrench. You know, get this brake loose, and then we will hard pipe this thing and frickin' be done with it. This refrigerant line just gets hot, gets brittle, and then eventually breaks off. But the bad side to that is when it does that, the car is gonna end up catching fire, or the oil anyway, and then there goes all your electrical and all your hard work and all that jazz. So let's just be done with it for good. And just like that, we are unhooked here. Just got to refish it back out. So here's what we're working with. And it's just this, like, if you have an ice maker at home, it's essentially the same thing, just a little bit smaller. And these ferrules, when you go to tighten this down, will cut into this line and cause it to leak. So we are just going to fish this back to the gauge. And then I've got my copper line already open over here. And this is that, you know, that malleable soft copper, you know, just, you know, you can unroll it right on out. We'll get it into the car, see what we need, you know, get our exact measurement, and we'll go from there. So when we go in to disconnect it from the gauges, we'll pull all that crap out, and then we'll start feeding in our new copper line. All right, guys, same thing in here. We're just gonna back this nut off and disconnect that plastic line from in here, and boom. Now I'm going to have to get some snips because I got this all zip tied together all nice under here so it stays out of the way. So let me get all these zip ties snipped off this loom, and then we'll run our new copper hard line from here up to the block, and then this should be good to go. All right, cool guys. So I got all this refrigerant tubing out of here, or this plastic oil line, whatever you want to call it. It's essentially refrigerant tubing, and we're going to start getting this new copper hard line all mocked up so we can make the connection from the block to the gauges. So let's get to doing that real quick. All right, so here's all the fittings they give you. These are different inserts for your block, what have you, so on and so forth, for whatever application you need. Essentially all we need are these 2 ferrules and then these 2 nuts, because this is the size we're going to need. I already have my fitting in the block, so I'm good to go there. And then we just got to get this to the length and the position that we need it, and then tighten everything down. Make sure you don't over tighten it so you're not cutting in or restricting the line itself, and then you should be good to go. All right, cool guys. We got that old plastic oil line out of there. We went ahead and hard lined it from the block to the gauge. Let me flip you around and show you that real quick. All right, so we are good to go. So we've got it hard lined from the back of the block up through the firewall here. Come on around, and we are good to go. Again, back up through the firewall, back into our loom, right here into the back of our gauge, and we are not going to have to worry about that overheating, drying out, cracking, and ultimately failing and creating a fire. So good deal, lose seal. So I was going to go ahead and change on the oil, but I mean, that oil looks and feels just fine. So I think we're going to get another run or two on that before we waste 50 bucks on that for absolutely no reason. We've got water put in the system. It's all charged back up and good to go. So we're done with that. We got our brake line resolved for now. I'm actually not going to leave that. I'm going to get a hard fitting to plug that for real. And I think we're good to go. So what I'm going to do is we're going to get Squirt down here in a little bit. She's going to clean up on this and get it dialed back in. That's kind of her job to do that. And then we are going to get Homer loaded up and ready to go to Tom Bailey's event, Sick PowerFest up in Pontiac, Michigan, and go up there and see if we can bring down another win. We took third place up there last year, if you remember, which was pretty awesome. It was actually the first win ever for Homer as far as bringing in some money. So hopefully we can repeat that and get that done, which would be cool. So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. This is a pretty lengthy video, and we'll catch you next time. So we'll see you all in Pontiac, Michigan. BRG out.